Going live. And we are live. Hello, everybody. I'm here today with Dimitri. My name is Sebastian, and we are going to work on extending tSQLt. And if anyone who is watching this, if you have a question throughout, just type it into the chat. I hope I will see it. I will try to look over there every once in a while, and then we can answer those questions. So,
hello.
Do you want to introduce yourself, Dimitri?
I'm Dimitri. I like tSQL and tSQLt, working as SQL developer. Hope we'll have fun.
Yes, that's what we're here for, to have fun. And my name, as I said, is Sebastian Meine, and I'm one of the two original authors of tSQLt. And I like tSQL and tSQLt too. Okay, what we're going to work on today is SpyProcedure. We want to see if we can get SpyProcedure to work first on synonyms, and then afterwards, maybe even on synonyms that are going across databases and across linked servers. But before we can get there, there's a little bit of pre-work needed. So today we're just gonna get started on seeing what needs to happen and maybe start writing a few tests. So, yeah, if you look at this procedure, which is currently on the screen, the SpyProcedure, it really does three things. First, it validates that whatever got passed in is actually valid to be called, to be used with SpyProcedure. So far, it made sure that whatever was passed in is a stored procedure, so we will have to change that. Then afterwards, in the middle, starting line 20, that's where the different statements that we will need to execute get generated. So that is actual create procedure statement and also the create log table statement. And then starting in line 29, the following three lines, what those do is they remove the object that is there already, so the original stored procedure, and then execute the two create statements that were generated in the step before. That's basically what's happening here, and I think our first step should be to see if we can make this work with a simple in the same database synonym. What do you think, Dimitri?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, and let's open the tests for SpyProcedure and see if we can't add a test asking for just that.
Should you ask me, request the control or whatever? Or do you want me to do that?
No, I will ask for control, but why don't you start finding that file and opening it?
This one?
The tests for that. So they should be under tests and called SpyProcedure tests. And what you can see here, tSQLt itself is built in a Management Studio project. Management Studio projects are really great for doing test-driven development in SQL Server with tSQLt. However, Microsoft sadly deprecated them. So, well, I will keep working with them as long as I can, because I don't think there has been an adequate replacement created anywhere. But if you're starting a new project right now, you probably want to go into Visual Studio, even though that's a lot more cumbersome than with old Management Studio projects. Okay, let's see. We have a bunch of tests. And I think we should just add a test to the bottom of it. What would just happen? I'm just gonna copy this test. Test spy procedure works. This. Is that how you spell it? Pointing to proc insane. Oh, let's spell that out. Database. Yeah, create procedure, inner procedure. That is currently using CLR. We don't need that. Let's just create the simplest procedure we can. Create proc inner procedure. And return. It should work. And then exec create synonym. What's actually the syntax for create synonym?
For, and then no, create synonym name, synonym name, and then for, and the actual procedure name.
Like this?
Yeah.
Great. And then let's call spy procedure on up. I'm opening Windows on Dimitri's computer. Let's not do that. Proc synonym. Exec in our proc synonym. And then we should have.
What's that ID? Is it kind of internal name?
It's internal name, yeah. The spy procedure log has an identity column _ID _.
Okay.
And as this stored procedure doesn't have any parameters, that will be the only column in that table. So creating an actual table from the spy procedure log, and then creating a copy of that table, an empty copy called expected, and then we're inserting a 1 in there. So this test now, first it creates the inner procedure, then it creates a synonym for that inner procedure, then it calls spy procedure on the synonym, not the original procedure. And then it calls the synonym. And a spy procedure always creates a log table with the name of the original of the spied procedure _spy procedure log. And it has a column for every parameter of that stored procedure. which, as I said, this procedure doesn't have a parameter, so we are just looking at the identity column in that table. And because we call it once, we expect one row to be in there, which hopefully will have the value 1. And then assert equals table makes sure that that actually is what happened. So let's run this test. Let's compile it, and then why don't you press Ctrl+9, Dimitri? Cannot access CLR. If that happens, that usually means that something with the installation of tSQLt went wrong. Can you try to just reinstall tSQLt?
Okay, then access is prepare server. Okay.
There we go.
Now,
Now let's run that test again. Nice. And it errors. Why does it error? Cannot use SpyProcedure on a synonym.
Because the procedure does not exist. Well, that's actually expected.
That is expected. So how do we fix that? I think the first thing to do, what do you think?
I think that we need to go and check what's going on there. So I checked that already, actually. So this is the validation procedure.
Yes.
And this is the exact place where that error happens. And as we see, it checks in the sys procedures for the object name. And as
Yes.
our object name is synonym, so it's obvious that we don't have anything here. So that's why we got this error. So to fix that, we need to fix this place.
Yes. So we want to allow stored procedures. We also want to allow synonyms pointing at stored procedures.
So will you do that, or do you want me? How?
I think what we should do to keep the change small here is just add an if statement in front of it. So between lines 8 and 9, that checks if whatever was passed in is a synonym. And only executes the remaining statements here, or only executes the, well, let's start there. Why don't you do that?
Okay, actually, so we have synonyms. Synonyms. Check how does it look like. I suggest just for now to create one to see how does it look like. Or DBO test. Check. What do we have here?
Is that in, or can you test dbo.syn test if that gets back an object ID? This object ID function, it should. Now pass in dbo.syn test as a string.
Yeah. Okay.
That works. So we can use the same syntax that we have in line 9 currently.
Yeah, what about checking what it is pointing to actually to procedure? So we will do that with different tests.
Well, let's first figure out that it is a synonym. What your code should be able to do is, instead of going against the synonyms, you should be able to pass in a second parameter to object ID and specify SN for synonym. So it will return anything only if it is a synonym.
Yeah, let's try.
And now if you pass in DBO test instead, which is our procedure with the SN, it will return null.
Okay.
So I think we should just say if it's object ID procedure name, comma, SN is not null, then.
So we should, when if it's not null, then we should check what it's like points to procedure then.
Yes. So maybe what we should do is
Please take this base object name and test what it
replace
is
the
procedure.
procedure name parameter with it.
Okay.
I probably would create a new variable in that case, just to keep it clean. Resolve procedure name, maybe?
What's better to use sysname or?
No, because it contains a DBO, so it might be longer than sysname can take in Waka Max. That's what you should use.
Then we need select. Or not. It's probably,
Yes,
I'm not
yes,
sure if it's like, I'm not sure. Like I saw that somebody is doing everything in set. I thought that might be not supported in some early versions of
okay,
SQL.
so the big difference between set and select is set will throw an error if there is more than one row coming back. Select will quietly pick a random one, depending on the order that SQL Server comes across those rows. In this case, we know there can only be one, so it doesn't matter if you use select or set.
Where base object name equal to, no, select object name.
Where object ID equals
Object ID equals then to,
and then the thing in the if statement.
kind of to car. Might be cleaner to do that. To create some variable assigned to object ID, and if not now, then assign this variable.
Yes. So in line 9, you might just want to add equal procedure name to
Like that.
initialize.
Scalar parameter. Okay. Okay.
And then in the following lines, we need to replace procedure name with resolved procedure name.
Mhm.
Hold on. Now the error message might be misleading.
I agree, but don't you have it in
Well,
tests?
yeah, we don't have a test that asks us to fix the error message yet. So let's jot that down for one of the next tests, and let's just get this working.
Success.
How's that possible?
Why it's not possible? Because like it's synonym, it worked.
No, it is possible. It is possible. It worked because there is no parameter. That's a quirk, but that's okay. I'm happy with that. So let's write another test that passes in a parameter. So that uses a synonym for a procedure with a parameter.
We need to have no spaces. tSpyProcedure procedure works with synonym pointing to synonym with
Synonym of procedure with parameters.
so let's have 1 or 2.
One should be enough.
And I guess we
Then
can
in line, when you call the procedure, you actually need to pass a parameter in. Let's name it param1 equal. And then when using magic numbers in tests or any, particularly numbers, I like to use numbers that cannot be mistaken for anything else. So use something like 42 or 1013 or so because ID will also have the value 1, and then you can inadvertently create mix-ups in your tests and not catch them. That's why I like to use
okay, but should we
hard-coded
create
numbers.
should we like use something like, I don't know, how will it be called?
Yeah, just param1 without the @ sign.
Like that, right?
Like that, and then line 771 put the 1136 in. You don't need to. No, I would not do that.
Why?
The insert statement in your expected should always be hard-coded.
What's the reason behind that?
2 reasons. The biggest one is when you look at that insert statement, you want to immediately be able to see what the values are. So it makes the test easier to read. For short tests, or even for long tests, it makes the test easier to read because you know what's expected at the time you're looking at that row, the insert statement. The other thing is if you're reusing variables, using them to do something in the action and in the expectation, you can inadvertently create issues where you don't catch a test failure. Like assume you accidentally overwrite that variable. And then you're expecting something else you're inserting, and then your test might also end up, your code under test might also end up inserting that wrong thing. So your test becomes more robust if you hard code those.
Okay.
It is duplication, and usually we are trying to reduce duplication, but in this particular case, in my experience, it's worse to deal with that duplication.
There's no parameters and arguments were supplied.
So the reason that this procedure now does not have parameters is that the code that generates the SPY procedure is looking at the sys-parameters table using the object ID of the object passed in, meaning the synonym, and the synonym itself doesn't have parameters.
Ah, okay, I got it. So, okay, your turn probably. I'll close that.
So let's see if we can fix it. I have no idea if we can or how.
I see 3 watchers now. One is me, another one.
There have been
you.
2 concurrent viewers the entire time. But at the beginning there were 2, then there was 1, then there were 3, and then there were 2 again. So I assume those 2 are actually viewers. If you're here, why don't you say hey or hi?
I'll change my then I'll switch my account because I use kind of odd account.
You, Dimitri, you don't need to say hi. I want to see if anybody else is actually.
Okay. So I guess you believe me that
I believe that you are here, yes. Okay, so this statement here is the one in question that generates the creates stored procedure statement, and we are passing in the procedure object ID. And the procedure object ID, where are we getting that from? We're getting that up here. So I'm wondering if we should make that an output parameter instead. Which then this wouldn't be doing validates. Maybe we should use the same code that we used it there.
Oh, we have a like. I like it as well. Yeah.
Nice.
Somebody was good boy or good girl, I don't know.
Select.
3 likes. Oh, thank you.
Check.
I'll probably explain while you're writing. So that the thing that confused me on our previous call, it's like you on the right side, line 6769. It's like this is the syntax with right join. So this was made with purpose to create empty table without any constraints, such identity columns, not null, and so on. So
Opening programs again. That happens if you are using a Mac and remote controlling a Windows computer. Object ID. I don't remember what the column is. Synonyms. Object ID. Actually, I have the object ID already. procedure object ID. And now we should have test start.
Base object name, the first one, I guess.
Parent.
Yeah.
So my hope is that this line doesn't do anything if this is not a synonym and overrides procedure object ID if it is a synonym. Maybe that is a shortcut that is not actually nice to use, but let's see. Can you press Ctrl+9, please?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so by replacing that procedure object ID here, we messed something else up. And what we messed up is this one here. So we need to save the original object ID. Let's call it original. Let's save this one here too. That's all. Why does it not want to save this?
Probably because I opened it with going to jump to definition instead of opening it from the the Solution Explorer.
Okay, then we might want to find that in Solution Explorer and replace it there. Which I actually do not know where it lives.
What's the give me control. Okay. I'll find it out. It's in name resolution. Create procedure tSQLt class. Yeah, tSQLt class. This is test tSQLt class.
The 7th from the bottom.
Probably. Yeah. So how do you usually do? You just replace all of them?
Just replace it, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's save it. So the tSQLt class in the beginning, when we started writing tSQLt, we put everything in one file. And then at some point that file became too large to handle, and then we started slowly moving objects out of that file, and new files became, new objects became their own files. But we never actually went through to clean everything up.
I see.
And what makes that a little hard here is that this file is actually not rerunnable because it doesn't have a if object exists, delete. So what we might want to do is actually create a new file for it. We have it nicely in here already. Just let's add the required header in front of it. ID P. Oops. Copy. Okay. Go then. Plus. What did I do?
Mac magic.
Mac magic. Okay, that should work. Can you save that in the sources directory, please? And the name should have the naming convention I've been using in tSQLt is schema name, object type, .SQL.
I guess it will be easier if I do save as. Save.
Okay.
Where is
that.
save? This one. How did you say? Schema name.
In front of the .SQL, just put a dot. Oh yeah, that needs to know. There you have a schema, tSQLt dot, leave that. And then in front of the .SQL at the end, just put a .SSP. SSP for stored procedure. Save, yes. And now we need to do one more thing. Two more things. One is remove it from the tSQLt class.SQL. And the next one is added to build order.
Can I access it from here?
It should be in there, yes. Source, and then not queries, but miscellaneous. Build order.txt. And then let's add this in front of.
You can add it here, I guess. It was created in there, so.
And you need to specify the file name. So we need a .ssp.sql at the end. Good. And then on the right side, we have the tests that we still need to save, and then we need to execute them again.
But did we recreate it?
We might not have.
There is already object.
Oh, yeah, that wasn't the issue. This one here is the issue. That one we might not have recreated. Actually, I created the original object ID, but then I didn't pass it in. So now again. Control 9, please. Same error.
No. Now it's not saying that it is like it exists already, but saying that like invalid object name. Inner proc synonym. It uses the new name instead of inner proc synonym.
Yes.
No. So yeah.
How do we make that happen? I think the original procedure name. Well, we are passing that in. We're passing that in. So let's look in to generate procedure statement. Original procedure name, where are we using that?
This is actually why then like I created this repointed to the remote system view, so it was getting everything from there.
Yes. So the original procedure name here is probably not what we want. And the log table name, where do we create that?
Yes, if you double click on that, SQL prompt will highlight you the proper place. No? Yeah, you pass it.
Passing it in. Passing it in.
Yeah, here. But log table names should be good. Means it should match, but no, but it should match. It should, is it?
That should match the synonym.
Yeah.
And this should also match the synonym. Because that's what the replacements.procedure is going to be called at the end. That's the only use of original procedure name, I believe.
On the create in the name, yeah.
So we should just pass the correct name in the first place.
But it's not replaced anywhere. I mean,
what are you saying?
Don't like original procedure name. Procedure name is not replaced anywhere.
No, that's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, but you want to match it with a synonym name.
Yes.
And it is a synonym name right now. Oh.
Oh. You have a point there. It is a synonym name.
So this should be okay, but now procedure object ID, what should be passed there? what object? I guess there we should.
I'm going to replace this anyway. Because that's what I usually do inside of tSQLt code. If an object name is passed, I clean it up first. And this is what this is doing. And then I can pass in the spy procedure name here. Save. And then what is your question about the object ID?
No, not the question, but here I might rename it to something like spy object name, because right now it should be, it can be either procedure or synonym. So it might be.
So we have
clear.
the original object ID and we have the procedure object ID. And you're right, the procedure object ID can be.
No, procedure object ID should probably always be like procedure name, but spy procedure name, this is what is actually probably better name is something like spy object name, because this name can be either synonym name or procedure name.
You mean the parameter?
No, line 11. Because now when you like by looking original object ID, original object ID can be the like either procedure ID or synonym ID, right?
Yes, but this is the name of the procedure we are creating. And what we are creating is always a procedure.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking. Okay. I used that name.
Okay.
So let's try to run the tests again. Nice.
Yippee!
So because we changed the file structure, I would suggest that we do a complete build now. So what this is doing is it's taking all the files and putting them together to build a tSQLt.class.sql file that gets delivered, that gets deployed. And then it is running all tests, not only on that, but also it creates stack packs and runs tests on them. And it, yeah. So at the end of this, we know that what we have done so far did not break anything.
And by the way, we are using tSQLt to create tSQLt.
Yes. Using tSQLt to test tSQLt.
Yeah.
Which, if you are interested in how we did that at the beginning when tSQLt was brand new, there is a file that contains bootstrap tests. I think 17. Those bootstrap tests don't rely on tSQLt, but they're rather hard-coded. And after those tests were written and passed, then we had enough of a framework to start using the framework itself to test itself.
Now I understood what's that. Yeah, because it was a question to me. What are these tests?
Well, while we are waiting for that build to finish, does anybody have a question? Is anybody still there?
Let me try to write something. Test.
Just to make sure I actually see comments, that is a good idea. Yes, I do see comments.
Actually, that means either we explain everything very well, or there is no other options.
Yeah, either we explain everything very well, or the two people that are watching us fell asleep already. By the way, if you are watching this later in a replay, you can still post your comments. I should get notified about those and I will get back to you.
But as far as I understand, it will be the first session and probably there will be more.
Well,
so you might want
we are close to the hour, so I think
yeah.
we're not going to get much further. And while we now are able to use SpyProcedure on a synonym, there are still a few things that need to get cleaned up. So there are more tests that need to be written for that. For example, the error messages right now are not clear. In particular, if you do something like calling SpyProcedure on a synonym that points to a table. So we do need to do some work on the error messages. And then after that, the real work starts when we're going to try to make this work for synonyms pointing to a different database or a different server. So yes, there will be more sessions.
Wondering, like, if you said that, like, it builds up on your machines for 2 minutes, why it's taking 4 minutes on mine, 4.5?
That is a really good question. You have a very powerful machine, and I don't understand that either.
Because it's not like, I mean, like, it's like the application works well, management studio, everything. 3 minutes 55 or less.
Okay, that is not bad. That is not bad. And everything passed. So that functionality is now available in tSQLt in the deck pack and so on. Now, before we can actually publish that, we will have to run it against all SQL Server versions on Linux and Windows, and then we can deploy it. But before we go there, let's do two things in the remaining 5 minutes. First one is should create a little bit of a to-do list at the bottom of this file.
Maybe let me write, because remote writing is, oh, okay.
I'm okay. Write tests for data error messages. Something that I discovered while reading the code. Tests for that actually might be an unexpected functionality, behavior of the existing functionality. Type names like dbo.character type. believe that that type name will cause an issue with the existing code. Echo. Database.
And how you are doing that, performing that? Is it on yours virtual machines or whatever you have in your CI?
Linked server is a concept that I have not thought about in CI yet. I might just.
No, I mean tackle different database. How do you do it?
The main build, the one that actually runs automatically in a pipeline, already creates databases, several databases. So we just have to add an additional database there, which we kind of talked through that before. So the baseline for that code exists already. Tackle. So that's kind of where we need to start next time. Now, let's check this code in.
Yeah, but should I fork it first?
Well,
create a branch. How is it done?
I suggest you build a branch in your own repository. You have a fork already, and then you do a pull request just for that branch, which I hope that is possible. If not, you need to create a new
1 second.
A new fork.
Yeah, but actually I'm I'm not very well with this forking stuff. So branches can I create like, but now because I cloned it from yours one, now I should probably change remote to mine one. How can you? Do you know how to do it normally?
So the first thing I would do is get the code that we have into a new branch in your repository.
But this is like this is what I cloned from you. It's clean version of, so I probably need to check out my.
Oh, you cloned from me.
Yeah.
That is a really good question. Okay, then I'm just gonna quickly do something.
This is probably the file I saved twice.
So now you should be able to
Create a branch.
create a branch in the original repository and the main tSQLt repository. You only have 50 characters there. You're way over.
So you are following this. Okay. Add.
Say something like started process to allow SPY
What about
procedure
that?
for
SPY
synonyms.
synonyms for procedures on the same database.
Yes, perfect.
Ha ha ha.
Interesting. Pending invite, you need to accept it.
Okay.
Probably an
Invites.
email.
There is unread notification. Yeah, I see. Invite. Accept. Okay. Create pull request. Okay, is the name okay?
For the branch, yes.
For pull request.
Uh,
Or shouldn't I
let's
create
not
it?
do a pull request yet.
Okay. Okay, then it pushed.
Good. Let's see if it made it.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yes, it made it. Perfect. And with that, we are already 5 minutes over. So thanks everybody for watching. And see you all next time.
See you all three next time, or even a little bit even more. Okay. Have a nice day, evening, morning, whatever. Bye bye.